Hi, I'm Radhika Somaia, Jewellery Consultant and Contributor, and I'm very much looking forward to speaking about a new wave of wedding style we're seeing in today's age, with leading global influencer Masoom Minawala, Tastemaker Sanji Gelani, and India's leading couture designer and visionary Gaurav Gupta. Almost 18 years ago now, Gaurav began his journey to shift a culture and did so successfully, carving his own new world in the global couture space. Best described as future primitive, his work can be seen on celebrities from Cardi B to Priyanka Chopra. Masoom, one of the oldest content creators hailing from India, has risen to fame over the years, representing the country across international red carpets like Cannes Film Festival. Masoom's agile and innovative approach to the world of new media has proved the business of content really is multifaceted. Lastly on our panel today is Sanji Gelani, newlywed and truly a woman with impeccable taste. Her recent wedding was one of the most talked about due to her unconventional color palettes and intricate details. Fashion stylist is a rising content creator, and we can't wait to see more of her chic cool on our screens. So today we explore the new wedding guest avatar, the future of brides, and a guide to styling your diamonds for the upcoming season of weddings. Girls, I'm going to start with you today. You're best friends, you were each other's bridesmaids at your weddings, and no doubt you've attended many wedding seasons together. What are you seeing people gravitating towards in their wedding style these days? And even as each other's bridesmaids, what were your looks and how were they planned by each of you?
We were probably more fussed about our bridesmaids' looks than our bride looks. So I think that says a lot. I think when it comes to wedding style, it's ever evolving. But what's really fascinating is that I see that more and more today, the fashion and the sartorial bit of weddings has gained so much more attention than before. People are paying so much more attention to the details of their looks. It's really not anymore about the largeness or the magnanimity of your lehenga outfit and how big your set is, but it's really about being able to embody your personality and your personal style and what you really want to stand for on your wedding day. And we see everyone from brides and grooms to wedding guests actually kind of represent that, right? So it's not just about the bigger the better with the fashion how we used to know it back in the day, but it's really about just owning your own sense of style.
What about you, Saanchi? You obviously recently got married, so what are you noticing?
So I actually my only thing was I know what works for me. I'm very neutral in my color palettes, and I did think about it. I was like, should I go loud? Should I be different? But Masoom actually told me this. She's like, stay true to whatever works for you, and that will come through. And I think that was the best advice I got.
And what do you guys both think is kind of like, why do you think natural diamond jewelry is kind of an ultimate wedding accessory?
So I think natural diamonds is a very cultural sort of addition to the look. Not addition, but it's part of the look, right? So I think turning to natural diamonds is something that you're going to see almost every Indian bride do, because it's a part of our culture. It's not just about that piece of jewelry, but it's about the conversation that goes on beforehand with your family. The diamond conversation, the jewelry conversation, it's a very large one because it's obviously also considered as an investment that's being passed on, within the cultural, within the as family heirlooms from both ends of the family, the bride and the groom. So I think what becomes really beautiful is it's really beyond what it's looking like on that day, right? Even when I was choosing my jewelry for my wedding day or wedding functions, I was always opting for pieces that I knew that would go beyond that day, right? That would be transitional, that I could either separate and wear in different ways, to just ensure that there's some longevity involved in an investment like this.
Yeah, diamonds are forever. So, Gaurav, You're an absolute trailblazer with the strongest design perspective and design language. How have your designs kind of changed over the years? Have they changed? Do you design keeping in mind this kind of evolving cultural climate?
You know, what has happened with me is always like a cultural dialogue with the cultural surrounding in India and from India to the world as well. It's been I've been very fortunate to kind of be pioneering a cultural movement altogether. Like it's like I feel like with the cultural shift, I'm always constantly having a dialogue. It's not that I am following a certain culture and the culture is following me. We are always having a dialogue with each other. You know, so when I started my brand about 18 years, 17 years back, they were just people were only wearing very traditional lehengas and, you know, the same blouses and the ordinis, and just it was extremely traditional, which is very beautiful, but it just seemed like everybody's just wearing that. There was no concept of, if you think about it, even 15 years ago, nobody was wearing a gown in any Indian wedding, or an outfit, or a cohort set, or today they're wearing sneakers with cohort sets and, you know, whatnot. You know, there's been a big cultural shift over these years. So we were the ones who invented or discovered the sari gown about, I guess, 10 years back or more. 2000, yeah, like something like that. So about 10, 15 years back, we started making the sari sexy. And then I think Vogue gave it a lot of language as well, like these new hybrids that came along, which is sometimes I've had difficulty defining my own new couture silhouettes, because India is an extreme culture, which is its own tribe, where it is the lehenga, the sari, the kurta set, or, you know, sharara. It comes from a lot of history and a lot of culture. And then when you're making very modern new silhouettes out of it, you cannot just put them in a term of, oh, this is a gown. So sometimes I'm making like sari lehenga gown, or sometimes I'm making like a lehenga gown, or it is a sari gown. So it's like there are newer languages that have come along. So I think I've been very excited to be pioneering this, you know. So it's like doing something new with the culture altogether and having that dialogue. And when I was making these new things, I was like, wow, all these brides are getting really excited and they're wearing it. And then it's happening again and again. And then you see those silhouettes in across the country in many designer journeys as well, and it kind of becomes mainstream culture.
Yeah. Do you feel like that there's had to be this kind of education piece around that like people are so used to the traditional kind of silhouettes and like wearing a lehenga, this conventional lehenga? Did you ever feel like you had to go through this point of no?
It was the right time at the right place for me. India was already going through that kind of you know, a semi-somatic cultural shift, like in the sense it's like you see a culture from a distance and you see like, okay, they're bored with what all is going on. There was an economic boom on top of it. On top of that, there was a tech and social media boom. So all of these booms helped the cultural shift in making a new Indian global language. Like today, us as Indians are really proud to be global Indians. So that's a new language of Indians altogether, a new identity altogether. So initially I was just making only Western wear, and as soon as I started dwelling into experimenting with the sari, etc., it just became like wildfire. And that shift, I've seen it right in front of my eyes, where I've seen like mother-in-laws coming with their to-be daughter-in-laws shopping to me and saying like, hum nahi kar paaye, tum kar lo. Like we could not be sexy enough, or we could not be like that in our time zone, in our culture with our in-laws, etc. But it's your time and do it. I've seen it, like I'm getting goosebumps saying it, because I've seen that culture shift happen over the years so drastically and smoothly at the same time that it's been very exciting. Today now brides like Masoom and I'm sure Saanchi, they don't even come with, you know, they come with their own thought process. They have their own individual thought process. They have their own definition of fashion. They know what statement they want to make. It's a very individual new India right now.
And I've often found that like the conventional lehenga can be quite alienating for some. How do you think designers of today are kind of embracing diversity in their work, designing for people of all shapes and all sizes too?
I think inclusivity and diversity has become a norm now. I think it's kind of come out in the open more so, because when I have always we've all as Indian designers, because we are not like a lot of Western designers who have only limited sizes and these kind of production cycles where we are only able to make up to a certain size and that's what in the store, etc. We've always had that couture made to measure culture in our industry. So that's how the Indian fashion industry has grown and thrived upon. So where we have made clothes for like 5 times XL person to a 5 times extra small person. So we are, or like sometimes you're like, oh, I have this 10-year-old daughter, can you make us a twinning outfit kind of situation. So we have kind of come up with, so we have been inclusive in every way, and we are a very kind of tolerant and adjusting fashion society in that sense as designers, and we've always done that. It's just that it's been talked about more and more openly today, where there are all kinds of size, color, gender, sexuality, all kind of situations coming forward. And I think I'm really glad, because that for me is another cultural evolution cycle.
Where are you seeing kind of jewelry in weddings? What's the place for it now? Like, especially, moving on from the brides, but the guests, like, what are they wearing for weddings these days? Are people dressing up their look with diamonds and wearing something a little bit more casual, or are they doing the opposite? What have you noticed?
So I think it's been a play of sorts. And like I said, I think in general, the overall consensus and mood is really playing on your own personality, right? And I think everyone here would agree that we don't feel the same way every single day. We literally have way too many phases and moods and emotions and, Mercury's in retrograde and whatnot. And I think just depending on these factors is how I see these decisions being made, right? So I think even just the word trends, for example, it's something that has become, it's very fluid now, right? That I don't think anybody, I don't think anybody really adheres to that or really follows anything. It's really about kind of, even if there is a certain sort of trend mapping happening in the overall market, you're still doing your very own interpretation of that. And I think that's what we're seeing translate into weddings as well. There will be some times where you'll see a lot of wedding guests who are playing heavier on their natural diamond jewelry, or or going more OTT on their outfit. I think the rules have now completely broken. So you could possibly show up in a pantsuit and a really large diamond choker that is going to make a statement as a look, right? Versus you're totally seeing women with tons of grace and style. I know Saanchi's pulled off this look herself, but she's done a lehenga which was a pretty elaborate, if I could say, and she did it with solitaires. Now, and it's also very interesting to see, because what you can do is actually repurpose your clothing and your jewelry this way, right? So I know where she wore that outfit for another occasion, and then she repurposed it for another occasion by going with solitaires in her ears. So, and I think when you're able to have that openness, when you're able to know that fashion really is a way of expressing yourself, and the rules have completely kind of don't exist anymore. They never really have. I mean, I just think they were followed earlier. It's just so much more fun.
And do you think, I know being from London myself and attending Indian weddings here, and having attended weddings in India as well, do you think there's ever that moment where the wedding guest feels, oh, I don't want to overshine, I don't want to wear too much that then overshines the bride? Do you, as a bride as well and as a wedding guest, has that ever crossed your mind before?
I think that's more like a London issue. We don't have that. Only people in the West have that issue. People in India don't have that issue whatsoever. They're like, oh my God. So there'll be bridal clients who will come to me, and the sister-in-law to be of the bride will say now give me the better one. So it'll be, so we have the opposite problem here.
I actually have to oppose that, because I know me and Saanchi have that problem.
Yeah, we kind of have so extra.
We're so extra. We're just inherent fashionistas, right? I'm I love it.
Yeah, exactly. So the thing is, Radhika, the thing is, there's so many people who are I think in the sense of I would wear like leather wings to work if I feel like. It's literally like my Comme des Garçons wings, or I would wear my brother's wedding sherwani to as a wedding guest to somebody's wedding if I feel like. It really is because I think like in Indian weddings you see that more because there are lots of like really evolved, I would say, not or like they're fashionistas who are just crazy like all of us who are just they're more and more prepping up and they're popping up here and there and we just love it. We just want to dress up and we
Absolutely. And I think from the three of us on this call, I'm sure there's been a time as guests that we've been more dressed than the hosting themselves.
I feel like underdressed if I'm not as dressed as or more dressed than the
bride. There's one conversation that Masoom and I had, and of course I think we just took to fashion much sooner than like everyone around us when we were younger. And we would always feel like we're overdressed. And we made this like statement, like a motto for ourselves where we're like, okay, what's the worst? We'll be the best dressed, right? If we're overdressed. So I think we're still stuck to that.
Overdressed for an event and I'll be like, I'm still feeling underdressed. I don't know what to do. I think that fear of being underdressed just takes over and we just do it. We just go for it. So that, as you said, is more like, and I do feel like in a lot of Western culture especially, there is that notion that, I don't want to outshine the bride and the bride is so simple, etc., etc. But in the recent past, I've been seeing that changing as well.
I was so like extra with the guest at my wedding. Like I was just like, guys, this is the opportunity you guys have to overdress. Please dress. Like there was no color. There was literally like Masoom and I had this conversation and she's like, dude, I'm gonna look like the bride. I was like, it's our wedding. It's not just my wedding. Like just
literally at Saanchi's Sangeet, she was in this beautiful like muted like white lehenga, right? White.
Yeah, white ivory or Namika,
Ivory. And I was in like this fuchsia pink, literally like fuchsia pink, like flouncy skirt and like a crop blouse, and I was just like and I was like, oh my god, but I guess it's okay because it's just where also new age India is going, right? From guests to brides. It's really just about yourself. Owning your personality, being confident in what you're wearing and how that makes you feel.
And even though
and just make sure you have people around you that like let you do that.
That's what it is. I think people who like let you do that also. And while I think I'm extra, I actually have people in my circle who think I don't dress up like that because my colors are so muted that they feel like, oh, but it's still so light. But the thing is that when you are a bride, no matter what, you are going to look like a bride.
Even if you wear white and solitaires, you're going to. It's your day.
There's a light on you that day. You always tend to shine out. So, and you have that thing. And what Saanchi said earlier when she was wearing white, I tell a lot of my brides that as well, especially for their nuptials, which are towards the night or evening. And they say like, oh no, they have this notion that they have to wear a dark color or a bright color to stand out. And I feel like lighter pastels or ivories, etc., they stand out more. And they shine more in those kind of neutral colors. In fact, there's a ethereal shining quality to it.
True. I agree.
No, so my point was this is exactly what I said. I didn't have any designer requests. I just had guys overdress. And I think that did put pressure on a lot of people. But I was like straight up telling my friends, I was like, please wear what you guys wore to your wedding. Like I have no problem. And my sister-in-law actually looked at my lehenga and she's like, Saanchi, you can wear this to anyone else's wedding. And that was the point. Like I wanted to wear an outfit that I do up like with my jewelry and diamonds in a way at my wedding day. But then I can repeat the outfit also.
I think Indian weddings today are like, their own Met Gala. It's literally like, and every wedding has so many themes. We literally get like, okay, these are the lunch
but
theme.
But Gaurav, three of us are the Blake Lively's on that Met Gala. Let's just say that.
I think I'm just Gaurav Gupta.
And I know that Masoom, you've often worn Gaurav Gupta on red carpets or for wedding events and things. How did you work together to create that look? Did you work together on the entire look, from your hair to your jewelry, or was what was that relationship?
I had a lot of respect for his work and the experience that he's kind of offering you through his his art and his design, which includes what that physical experience of walking into the store and picking an outfit is. Right? And I think that is very, very, very important for somebody who's looking for something to wear. I think just being in the fashion industry, which is all four of us, right? Radhika, you as well, where we have so much access and we're constantly kind of fed so much information when it comes to fashion and style. Sometimes we forget that consumer who really just wants something nice to wear and wants that guidance or wants that experience and doesn't get it. And I think that's a very fundamental and foundation of the industry today, which is actually the consumers, right? They're not interacting with fashion every day. They're working in different industries. They have different, family cultures at home. And this is meant to be like almost like an outlet where you're, doing something for yourself, feeling good about yourself, or splurging on yourself. And I think every time I've worn Gigi, I've been able to. It's been such a moment of like self-expression, because his clothes make me feel super hot, which is not actually an aesthetic that I would turn to back in the day. So when I wore his outfits in the beginning, they were literally making me feel this emotion or almost this personality trait that I didn't embody very often. And that is just so much fun, right? I think that adds a real element of like drama and just like a new experience.
And Gaurav, you use the most magical, unconventional hues in your work, and this recent collection of yours, Heiress of Dunes, uses, Nile blue and sage gold. How would you, for people watching, how would you recommend styling those colors or those pieces with natural diamonds?
All our colors are very natural. Like we actually name our colors. Like this had a bit of an Egyptian undertone, Heiress of Dunes.
Yes.
And that's why we had the sage gold. And our sage gold is almost like it's a sage gold. It's between a beige and a greige kind of thing. And it is, with all of these kind of pieces, I think it's diamonds. One, as Masoom was saying, one can actually either go OTT, can wear a whole big necklace and just do solitaires with it, or nothing in the ears as well. Or these days, a lot of girls actually go with statement ear cuffs and just do like a big, a chunky statement bracelet with it, or long chandelier earrings with our off-shoulder kind of, pieces. I think it's really comes down to the personality. I think today there are no rules that apply that, okay, you're wearing off-shoulder, then you can wear the, as I just said earlier, one can actually mix and match and come up with new looks altogether. And today you can wear an ear cuff with the necklace and with a fully embroidered gown. But you have to have that personality to pull that off. So it's what you are really. I think it's like what neurons in your mind are relating to when you're bringing out that confidence neurons that you're throwing out. It's literally it's up to that. So there are no trends to follow. There are no rules left to break. I think it's you can do whatever you want to. Like you can wear a diamond tiara or just have strings of a necklace on your head. If you have the personality to carry it, you know how to style your outfit.
I remember one of Masoom's birthdays or my birthdays, Masoom had come with a low back play suit and necklace behind. And that was such a statement, because she, instead of wearing this, because it was a high neck, so she didn't wear her necklace here, she wore it from behind. So it was like a low back with a necklace right there.
Well, Saanchi and Masoom, I want to look at maybe decoding one of your favorite looks from your weddings.
I wanted to wear something unusual. I got married in 2017 when the norm was to turn to traditional colors, deeper hues. The most unconventional bride that I had seen at that time was a bride in a yellow lehenga, right? So everybody went for the reds, the maroons, the wines, or the pinks. That was basically the color palette that you played in. And I've always, I've never enjoyed looking like one from the crowd, right? So I've always had a very different taste and kind of wanted to wear something that would make a statement, which is why I opted for this lehenga. I actually did not know what it would look like because it's a custom Anamika Khanna couture, and I really wanted to wear ivory for my wedding day. And I remember Anamika even spoke to my grandmother on the phone because I went to Calcutta with my mom and my grandmom was back home in Bombay, and she even spoke to her on the phone trying to convince her to say a yes for ivory. And you know, at that time, it's my family was just like, she was like, it's impossible, like this is a bad luck, you're not going to wear ivory on your wedding day. And which is why we finally settled for kind of ivory going into the pinks and then that color coming in and like like floral accents and things like that. My dad's a jeweler, like you pointed out earlier, and he really wanted to design my wedding set. So even that was, you know, it was such a beautiful process because it was kind of working with my dad on this together and actually creating something for my wedding day. What he also did with me with the necklace was ensure that I could detach it and wear it as two separate pieces to make it more transitional, to make sure I could use it for as a wedding guest or in other occasions. And that's a similar thing.
It's like multi-purpose. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that's a trend with natural diamonds or polki or jewelry in itself that we all have been embodying in I think in the last decade. We've seen a lot of that, right? That if we're buying something, if we're investing in larger pieces, we're ensuring that they can be kind of reusable, or just, you know, with a little kind of just a little fix here and there, you kind of detach it and wear it as a different piece.
Smart. Yeah, very cool. And what about you, Sanchi? Your look is so ethereal and elegant. What made you decide on this look, and why is it your favorite look, and how did you style diamonds with it as well?
So, you know, I actually I had no idea before I actually just knew that I wanted to wear this. It was like a 0 to 100. I was thinking, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, I didn't want to do like Gota and, you know, things like that. I wanted it to be a little different. But at the same time, I wanted it to be like muted and calm and all of that. I didn't want to do a typical lehenga because I was having a nikah. And I wanted it to be like, that's the word. I wanted to be more like ethereal and more like put together. So I was actually very confused about the colors, but then again, that Masoom advice came through and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to stick to pastels. And I stuck to like a really nice mint green it was. But other than that, then I paired it with a set that my mom designed for me. It was natural diamonds and emeralds. And I just left completely to her because I wanted it to be like an heirloom piece. I wanted to like put it down, and because I was actually going to wear one of her outfits for a smaller function of mine, and I was like, that's cute, maybe I'll just like, you know, keep it for my kids. So that was the thought process behind the set that I wore. And speaking of Masoom's, actually, when she said this detachable thing, I actually have a set here that I can show you guys, which I also wore at one of my wedding functions. And it is completely detachable. Like this part, you can lose, I'll show you. You can lose this and then it becomes just this. Or you can lose this and it becomes just this. So I knew if I had one set that was like an heirloom set that I had to pass down, maybe I'll keep something else that's like detachable.
That's super interesting that like you guys are going towards this kind of multi-functional, multi-purpose jewelry that you can wear for dressing down and other events as well. Gaurav, you have dressed so many brides yourself. Can you tell us a little bit about one of your favorite looks or two of your favorite looks and the brides that you've styled?
So I had this beautiful bride from Pakistan recently, Altish Yusuf, who wore our emerald gown for her reception. And that for us is a very popular silhouette. It's like this, it's like a slimming silhouette, which is almost like a little bit mermaid-esque. And it has all our sculpting going from a shoulder to the skirt area, has a big train happening. The whole works of Gaurav Gupta statement gown. She wore it with emeralds and diamonds and really beautiful, bigger statement diamond jewelry. Still keeping it kind of subtle, like, sophisticated, as she's saying, as Saanchi said, timeless pieces, which can, and Masoom said as well, which can be carried forward and worn multiple times.
You know, all three of you have such influence in dictating and setting trends, whether that's through the wearable art you create, Gaurav, or whether that's the influence and power you have over your audiences. I mean, Masoom, you literally speak to millions of people every day, and I'm sure you don't take that lightly. But what advice would you give for the upcoming wedding season to viewers who are watching today on what they can wear for different functions and how they pair that with their diamonds?
So I love dancing, and Sangeets are inherently, involve a lot of music and dance and that vibe. So I love volume for the Sangeet. I think it really adds so much drama and exuberance that you kind of need for that function. So I would definitely recommend something with volume. And I think that the most beautiful silhouette with volume is a lehenga. And I think it's the only misconception is that sometimes when you want volume, you turn towards heavier fabrics or heavier embroidery, but I think that's not necessary always. You can always opt for something more flouncy or organza, and that could work beautifully as well. If it's a more modern silhouette, kind of opting for statement, natural diamond earrings, versus if you're going for a deeper cut, then I think natural diamond choker works beautifully.
Stunning. And Saanchi, for a haldi ceremony, what would you recommend, and what kind of color palettes and diamonds?
I actually think haldi is so fun. You can like wear anything. You can wear a concept sari, you can wear like a sharara. I remember for my haldi also, I had Masoom wear a quartz set. I myself wore a sharara. My friend wore a kaftan. So I think it's just so easy. And that's one function I would actually, even though I wear like colorless clothes, that's one function where I would like wear any color. You can wear like yellow, you can wear red. As my mom says, the sun shades are apt for a haldi.
Amazing. And Gaurav, for a reception, what would you wear? Would you wear a beautiful sculptural gown with some like long diamond earrings, or what would you recommend to the viewers today?
So, as we all discovered and we all reinstated that there are no trends as such, I think it depends on the bride, depends on her personality. She could go for a slim gown, she could go for a very voluminous gown as well. She could be going for a mix of the two, which are the newer silhouettes we are taking out now. Now today I've just done a slim, now I've started doing these slim lehengas, which are like fitted skirts which are heavily embellished and separate two-piece things with ruffled dupattas attached, etc. So it's literally whatever statement you want to make and what's the vibe that you want to create for your own reception. And jewelry for that, again, you can go with us. I think a lot of chokers and like attached necklaces attached to chokers, they look really cool. Like I think that Victorian vibe is kind of doing its rounds, but in a new way. And I feel like I think newer jewelry forms with like madder ear cuffs or handcuffs or like hand jewelry, etc., is also doing its round. So I think it's great time to experiment and create newer things and newer statements.
Absolutely. And just lastly, a wedding. So what would you recommend someone wear on their wedding day?
So we've had this bride recently where we've started Gaurav Gupta bride recently, which we started I think last year. And we have this bride, a beautiful bride. You can see it on the screen right now. She's wearing our wine-colored velvet lehenga with multicolored embroidery, and there are these lifelike peacocks on it and birds, and it's kind of Indo-Victorian in its sensibility. It has a little bit of goth elements on it, but it's very, very Indian, very traditional. It has all those greens and deeper, darker colors. I feel like it is all there, but it's done in a very Art Nouveau way. So for me, I feel like on the wedding day, the bride is really, again, looking for her personality within that traditional realm of things, like how Saanchi wore a light color, or depends on what time of, depends on your personality. I think it's really time for the bride to be very true to herself. And I would really urge for everyone to go out and try out like 20 outfits if you're confused, and literally sit down, take your time and listen to yourself, not to your entire family, not to all the mob, but listen to yourself. And with that, I think the traditional polki jewelry, which is also in natural diamonds, And I see a lot of brides actually wearing diamonds, other than polki for their wedding day as well. And like how they could just wear a statement emerald with dangling diamonds with it, etc. So there is that definite new mix happening in the jewelry segment for the wedding day.
I'm just envisioning this diamond emerald with your sage gold right now. It's quite well fit in.
So that's your next look.
Thank you very much, everyone. It's been a truly insightful conversation, and I'm sure a lot of people today have learned what to wear for the upcoming wedding season. So thank you.